when you say, "Here I stand, the victim of your," I forget what noun you use. Here I stand, the victim of your perfidy, the victim of the obstacles that you place. She thinks, and Simone is an avatar here. Simone thinks that that's exactly the position we're in, and she thinks it's unreasonable of you to expect that we're going to stand up straight. If you say, "Why can't we stand up straight?" What Simone is thinking is, yeah, you stand up straight, and then you're walking down the street, and the cops pull you over and beat your head in because you look like some drug suspect that you're looking for. So how can you stand up straight in a society that treats you that way? What's your answer to Simone? Because that's the easy answer that that person has, even when they're 20 years old. They do think that our job is to stand and say, "We are the victim of your perfidy." They think of that as our dignity.
My answer is you're not special. Everybody has wins in their face. You're privileged. You're rich. You're empowered. You live in the United States of America. Of people of African descent in large numbers on this planet, we are by far the most prosperous, most powerful. Barack Obama served for 8 years as president of the United States. The current sitting secretary of defense is a black man, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is just what Randall Kennedy was saying when we talked with him a couple of weeks ago. I'd say that your ancestors actually did have a boulder on their shoulders. You don't. I'd say, look at what they did, notwithstanding what they had to confront. The world is your oyster. The streets are paved with gold. Everything is possible. Don't you see what's happening in the 21st century, I'd say, look at the immigrants. Now, people want to preclude me saying this peremptorily. You can't compare blacks to the immigrants. Why can't I? Why can't I take note of what's possible in this great country? Well, why can't I avail myself of the example of peoples, numerous, who have demonstrated what is possible in this great country? It can't possibly be true that we African Americans are so exceptional that those achievements don't have anything to teach us about what's possible in this country. I would say, and you know, Simone, look at Brown University. They are foursquare and 100% behind everything that the wokesters want to do. I'd say, look at the 1619 project that's being taught to kids in high school, et cetera. I'd say, look at the cancellation up and down the line of people who, you know, deviate by epsilon from, you know, some mantra that you've been taught in your religion. You know I can say all of that. I mean, but, you know, you don't think that's going to reach Simone, do you?
Professor Loury, how come we can't just be mediocre? Why should we have to try harder here like a Nigerian immigrant after all we've been through? Nigerian immigrants have immigrant pluck. We've been here for 400 years and we shouldn't have to try harder. We should fight for our right to be mediocre. Woo, woo, woo. Why should we try harder?
She's probably not going to. She's probably not going to.
What do you have to say to that one?
Is she going to explicitly affirm and embrace mediocrity? You know, she's probably going to just challenge the standard by which you're making the judgment of who is and isn't mediocre. But I'm going to say nobody's coming to save you. I'm going to say you can do that if you want to. I'm going to say, okay, forget about all this high philosophic moral stuff. Let's just talk about practical politics. What do you think that's going to get you? You just made yourself into a client. You just threw yourself prostrate on the mercy of the court. You just flopped. You just, you know, you've gone slack on me. And now the entire game is, will they accede to your demand? You know, will they affirm your victim status? You know, and you know, I mean, I'd just be repeating myself if I were to observe that makes all of the moral agency reside in the oppressor.
Mm-hmm.
They become the ones who are possible of behaving virtuously. You're simply a bauble, being pushed this way and that by forces over which you have no control. That's a abject surrender.